Okay, I had a request for a longer video and more explanation of what I'm doing here. Each ping has a PID associated with the wheel, and sometimes you can see the PID at work, like when it is deciding which way to go. You can see the PID sort of adjusting to the threshold it's set for around the bigger tube. When it comes back through and makes its decision to go the other way around the smaller tube, the PID has to adjust again. Each wheel has its own PID, and part of the PID in this that was a little fun to think of was this isn't going in a straight line. So the wheels have to work proportionally to each other, or it would drive really wacky. So I had to set it where the steering, so it goes in a steering circle instead of just straight forward and straight back like a following robot. And see the decision making it makes, and there again, when it comes out of that decision, it adjusts its PID to head around the cone. And so far the decision making has been very reliable. It always goes the opposite way out that it went in, and I based that on the shape of the cone of sight on the lasers, so that when it comes into the cone, or in between the two cones, you can see it's canted a little. So actually one cone drives right off the scene, and it says, oh, I only see one cone now, I'm going that way. So I relied on that little cant for the direction it comes in to let it know which direction it now has to go in, see? And there it goes again. If you follow the lights indicate what the pings are seeing. They're only lit up when each ping sees something. And when they're both lit up, that's when it knows it has to change directions. And now Eric wanted to see how reliable it was time and time again. I haven't got it to fail yet, except for all the little fun things that happen, like batteries going dead and dogs coming in and husbands hitting the edge of the table and the little fun things in life. Of course, if I demoed it in front of a group of students, it probably won't run at all. That's the fun thing about demoing stuff at home. You have a little more control over your mistakes. So it'll just keep going and going and going. I suppose I could add a loop with, instead of having it repeat forever, I could have it repeat just a certain amount of times and then stop right in the middle when it sees the two. And I don't have that in there right now. It'll just keep going and going and going till the batteries run out. And this works with the big pings too. If you'll notice the placement of my side pings, I found that the whole thing worked best if I put the actual cone of sight of the laser right over the pivot point of the robot. So I 3D printed these little holders. I do have some in blue to match the robot, but I was making pumpkins for a Halloween display when I came up with this better mount. I didn't want to change my PLA. So we have orange on this robot. Oh, that's the other thing too. if you watch the tube on the left, it doesn't do it on the tube on the right because the light's coming from that direction. I tried to turn down the lights a little bit, but this little Canon snapshot doesn't have real good low light capabilities. If you watch the tube, you'll see the little blue laser flashing on it. You can see I have the threshold set closer for the big tube than I do for the small tube, and that was so that it wouldn't drive off this little whiteboard temporary cable I made for it. And there we go.